Hey, what exactly do you think you're doing? I know you stole my money. Give it back to me right now. Yeah, give it back to Sophie. That's her allowance. What money? I don't know about any money. I shrugged as I walked toward my bed, ignoring Sophie's furious face. After that, I had to listen to Sophie throw more accusations at me. Blah, blah, blah. I know it was only because I was a tomboy, so surely if a girl chooses to have short hair and wear baggy clothes, then she must be a thief. Poof! Eventually, I reached my breaking point. Quit with the accusations. I didn't steal any money. I didn't even know you had money. I know you took it. If you don't return it to me this instant, then I'm gonna tell Miss Hopkins. Her idle threats didn't bother me, so I just flopped down on my bed and played on my phone. Talk about a heavy atmosphere. Ugh. Then I saw them all frantically checking their phones and giving each other confused looks. So I took an earpod out and heard a phone ringing from over by Sophie. Isn't that your new phone, Sophie? Why don't you pick it up? What? No! Sophie stuttered while Bella and Carly stared at her, all confused. I walked over to Sophie's bed, lifted the pillow, and yep, there was a brand new iPhone 13 Pro Max. So, Sophie, if there's nothing wrong with your brand new phone, then why did you feel the need to hide it so badly and not answer my calls? She nervously chewed on her nails, then blurted out, Fine, I spent all my allowance on a new phone. I knew my parents would be livid that I spent it so quickly, so I thought it'd be easier to blame you, since you're new and look kinda intimidating. Nice. I stared at her. You could have, found someone dumber to mess with, as I already see right through you and your dirty schemes. But whatever. Girls, I'm sorry. She gave Bella and Carly pleading looks. Please forgive me. They both shook their heads and told her that she'd have to ask Miss Hopkins, the dormitory supervisor, for a room change, else they'd tell everyone what she did. So Sophie angrily packed, then moved out. When the room was Sophie-free, Carly and Bella apologized to me, then helped me tidy up my stuff. I smiled at them. No worries, it's cool. After that, they wouldn't quit complimenting my clothes and style, and how smart I was. This was flattering and all, but I kept my chill exterior. That weekend, the school took us out on some woodland activity day. Our teachers organized a treasure hunt and divided us into groups. I ended up with Carly, Bella, and these two other girls. The teacher handed Bella the map, and she held it up the wrong way. I think this map's broken. I chuckled, took it off her, then using the first clue we'd been given, I quickly found out that we needed to walk 100 steps east and find a tree by the lake. Turns out, all of the other clues were as easy peasy as the first one. And soon we'd finish the game. In first place. Everyone was gawping and clapping at me. Poof, it's just a piece of cake. We were on our way back to the dorm room when Carly sidled up to me and said, Hey Sam, you did great today. Oh, it's nothing. Puzzle games are my cup of tea. Hey, I have an idea. Let's form a detective team, as our school still has a few cases unsolved. That's a good idea. With the Sherlock Holmes minds of ours combined, nothing is impossible. Then the three of us looked at one another and laughed. I gave a nod in agreement. I mean, a detective agency sounded kind of fun. And that's how the CSI detective team was born. It stands for Caroline, Samantha, Isabel. Of course. At first, everyone laughed at us because they thought this group was nonsense. But then, the math exam was stolen, and through our expert investigation skills, we linked it to none other than Aubrey, the top student in the class. Hey, we even caught the creep who broke into the school to spy on the girls. And it was only a matter of time till everyone began to recognize our talents. One day, the three of us were standing at the locker when a series of message alarms rang out. It turns out that our school's confession page has a new post, claiming that Liam, the most popular boy at school, was seducing, then defrauding numerous girls. They also posted some of the love notes Liam had slid into the girls' locker to manipulate them into giving him money. The message showed, I can't wait to take you on a special date,
but my debit card won't work. If you lend me yours, I'll make our date unbelievable. I promise. X.
OMG, this is unbelievable. At that moment, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and I turned around to see a sullen-looking Liam standing there.
Please, you've gotta help me. These are all false accusations. Please help me find out who did this.
And of course, all of us nodded immediately. No one would refuse to help a boy as cute as Liam. Oh, I mean, we're the school's famous detective team, so how can we ignore this? Right?
Yeah, right. I rolled my eyes. I didn't blame Carly for liking Liam. I mean, everyone likes him. I guess even I did. Bella then interrupted my daydreaming.
Come on, guys. Let's focus on our job. I think the person who did this must have some kind of grudge against Liam.
Everyone agreed and started investigating, which led me to sneak into Liam's dorm and rifle through the bin. Bingo! I found a scrunched up piece of paper with the messages Liam had supposedly sent to his victims, scrawled in green ink. Then, who should just so happen to have green smudge on their hand but James, one of Liam's roommates. It turns out, James did this just because he was jealous of Liam's popularity. How petty. Well, this success certainly made the detective group more credible. We actually had our own fan base, and I was always overhearing other kids talking about us in a good way. Best of all, Liam was so grateful to us that he started hanging out with us more. We even went to the park with him one weekend, and he bought us all ice creams. Carly kept on flicking out her hair and giving him doe-eyed looks, while, being the chilled girl I am, I kept it at a smile and a thanks. The only one who didn't seem impressed by Liam was Bella, who took the ice cream, forced a polite smile, then ignored him. Oh well, at least this meant one less competitor for his affection. One day, we were having lunch when we overheard the girls at the next table talking about how a girl saw a ghost in the old chemistry lab, and it scared her so badly, she refused to leave her bedroom for days. According to the others, the legend of this ghost had been around for a long time. Now, this sounded like a job for the CSI, but Bella immediately folded her arms and shook her head.
No, I'm not going. There are no ghosts in this world.
I firmly said, yep, so we have to go and clear this up. But no matter how much Carly and I tried to persuade her, she point-blank refused to go.
Don't you know about the curse? If anyone goes looking for this ghost, they will be cursed and have bad luck for the rest of their lives.
Didn't you just say there are no ghosts in this world? So why does that dumb curse bother you?
Actually, I'm afraid of ghosts.
I looked at Bella and tried not to laugh. Okay, so you stay in the room. Then me and Carly went to discuss plans for the evening. We were hiding in the corner of the chemistry lab. Jeez, it was boring in here, and I was kinda hungry. I should have brought snacks. Suddenly, a cold wind blew past us. It made me all goose-pimply. Carly shook my arm and whispered,
Sam, let's go back to the dorm.
Shh! I heard something. Footsteps. Then I felt a touch on my shoulder. I looked at Carly. Then we both screamed and bolted for the door. Thud! We hit something and fell to the floor. I scrambled to get up and saw Carly with her eyes closed and praying.
Please, ghost, please forgive us.
What are you doing here this late? I looked up. It turned out to be a frowning Miss Hopkins. Yep, we both ended up getting a week's worth of detention for sneaking around at this hour. Ugh. After Miss Hopkins gave us another lecture and escorted us back to our dorm, Bella looked at us from her bed and said,
I told you that you'd both end up cursed, didn't I?
I snorted. I mean, a curse was nonsense, right? But then weird things started happening to me and Carly. My history assignment disappeared 10 minutes before the deadline. Carly went to put her sports kit on and found it covered in mud stains. And our personal items kept on disappearing, then reappearing in weird places. Worse still, the rumor of the detective team being cursed spread very quickly. Enough was enough. I needed to investigate this so-called curse and get to the bottom of it. I told Bella and Carly what I planned to do, but they didn't seem convinced.
No! What if something bad happens? I'm never going back there! Sam, you shouldn't go there either.
Okay, chill. I won't do it. It's just an idea. Calm down. That's what I told them. But the thing is, I don't give up easily, and I needed to figure out what was going on. So that night, I snuck out of the room and went to the lab alone. The hallway leading to the lab was so dark and quiet that I could hear my own breathing. Then suddenly, I saw a dark figure standing in front of the lab door. I tiptoed over. Then I heard a voice.
Did anyone see you?
So ghosts can talk now? But wait, why is this voice so familiar? I shone my phone flashlight at it. Bella? And Liam? Bella startled.
Listen to me first. It's not what you're thinking.
Oh my God, had my friend been betraying me all this time? I immediately turned away and stormed off. Bella tried catching up with me to explain, but I didn't want to hear it. It was her all along. She'd played those sneaky tricks on Carly and me, so we thought we were cursed and wouldn't go back to her and Liam's secret rendezvous place. Back in the room, I told Carly what had happened, and we decided to ignore Bella. That's what she deserved. One day, we were eating lunch when Bella came over. Both of us were about to leave, but Bella hurriedly said, "Please give me a chance to explain." There's no need to explain. We know what you did.
I know I messed up, but it's only because I'm afraid you guys will react like this, and I didn't want to lose our friendship.
I put down the tray and reluctantly sat down.
I've been dating Liam for a while, and we were going to go public, but then I could see that you both liked him, and I was worried you'd be mad at me, and our detective team would disband. God, you're such an idiot! Do you think we're that selfish?
So yeah, we have a bit of a crush on Liam, but if you told us you were dating him, we would have been cool with it. Hearing that, Bella looked embarrassed. Then she gave a reconciling smile. Then we all hugged each other and promised that from now on, there would be no more secrets between us. And of course, the CSI detective team is still active, and now even has a hot new boy member. Yep, you guessed it right. It's none other than Liam.
Emma, your teacher, Mrs. Holm, called again. She said your grades are appalling and you don't pay attention in class. Why can't you be more like your sister?
Yawn. Not this speech again. It's been like this ever since I started elementary school. In my mom's eyes, only my sister, Evelyn, inherited our dad's intelligence, while I'm just the senseless member of the family. Ugh, as if. She's only good with useless books. Bet she doesn't know anything practical, like how Dad's Ethernet company works and such. But whatever, I don't care. I'm full, I announced as I got up and went to my little headquarters, the garage. I was busy working on my own personal project, so I didn't have time to give a hoot about who my mom's favorite child is. Oh, you must be wondering what I'm working on. Well, this device broadcasts Wi-Fi. Sounds familiar, right? But my device is able to broadcast across the entire city. Not only that, the connection is stronger and much more stable than the Wi-Fi people use at home. And it's more convenient without all the cables and stuff. This is without a doubt my proudest work ever. And what a coincidence that a few days earlier at school, Mrs. Holm announced that for the first time, the school was organizing an invention contest. Normally, I give school activities a miss, but this time was different. This contest could be fun, right? There was no time to waste, so I put all my spare time, day and night, into making my invention contest ready. And you won't believe what happened. I won first prize! And that's not all. One of the judges, Mr. Johnson, was so interested in my invention that he offered to invest in it. At first, I was kind of scared and hesitated to agree because, I was still in high school. but this was an opportunity of a lifetime. So how could I deny it, right? So after that, Mr. Johnson sorted out a manufacturing company and office space for me downtown. This is cool, but I prefer to work in my garage. It's just more convenient that way, with me still being at school and all. I upgraded my device and launched it to the public. And you know what? It was a huge success. Pretty much everybody in the city got rid of their old, laggy Wi-Fi devices and accessed mine. Then one day, I got a call from the local news channel asking to interview me and my family at home. Oh my god, yes! Oh, there's just one snag. I hadn't told my family about it yet because, I don't know. Maybe I just know there's no way they'd believe me? Like the time I got an A in my physics exam, and my mom instantly asked if I cheated. But, well, whatever. This is much bigger than that. So I quickly ran downstairs to the living room and excitedly told my family that the invention benefiting the town was mine. But Mum and Evelyn burst out laughing. So you're telling me that this Wi-Fi, which is broadcasting across the entire city, is your invention? Yeah, Mum, it's mine. Then Mum and Evelyn laughed even louder. Honey, it's bad enough you're failing at school. Please don't start lying. Ugh, forget about it. Why did I even try? Then, the morning after, when the doorbell rang, my mom opened it and saw a reporter and a cameraman. She couldn't believe her eyes. Mum and Evelyn exchanged panicked looks, then rushed upstairs to prepare. It was so hilarious. The hysterics continued as they interviewed my parents. I watched my nervous, sweaty dad stand there like an awkward statue, while Mum began bragging about me like, as soon as Emma was born, I knew she was a genius like her dad. I always encourage her to pursue her dreams. Jeez, and the Oscar goes to my mom. I didn't know she could act that well. To be honest, since I could remember, Mom never said anything nice about me. Ever. But now that she knew I was the mastermind behind the town's Wi-Fi, she would probably treat me differently, right? Wrong. Then one night I came downstairs for a glass of milk and overheard Mom and Dad talking in the living room. Emma is such a selfish child. How badly will this affect your business? The truth is, the company's going through tough times. But don't worry, we're trying everything we can. Huh? Did I do something? And what's wrong with Dad's company? I tried to eavesdrop more, but suddenly I heard my dad standing up from the couch, so I quickly ran upstairs to my room. The next day, Dad forgot to take his lunch with him to work, so Mom asked me to take it over. But when I got to his company floor, it was deserted. Huh? Where was everybody? Did everybody get a day off or something? But that couldn't be it, right? That evening, over dinner, I asked Dad. I went to your office at midday, but not a single person was there. What's going on? Mom suddenly put her cutlery down and gave Dad a shocked look. Is what Emma just said true? Dad lowered his head and sighed out. Yes, it's true. I temporarily shut the company last week. I didn't want you all to worry, so I didn't tell you. I'm sorry. What? How could you? You said you would fix it. That's when it hit me. But I deeply prayed it wasn't the truth. So I asked him, is it because of my device? Dad didn't answer me. He just glared sadly down at his dinner. But I knew what his silence meant. I was right. Suddenly, Evelyn stood up and screamed in my face. It's all your fault! You invented that stupid device, and now Dad's business is at stake. That's so typical of you. You never think before you act. Then she stomped off upstairs. I just sat there speechless. I just wanted my family to be proud of me, but instead, it seemed like they despised me more than ever. Then Dad turned to me and softly said, Emma, this isn't your fault. I was kind of waiting for my mom to say something. Anything at all. But she didn't. She just cleaned up the table. I felt really bad about what happened to Dad. But hey, now I had to work even harder so I could provide for my family, right? After that, Mom completely ghosted me. As for my sister, whenever our paths crossed, she gave me a dagger look and muttered out mean comments like, "Let's see how long it takes for your precious business to fail." I tried to ignore her, but then she took it too far. One Sunday, I was in my garage working away when suddenly I heard loud noises coming from outside. I opened the garage door to see a crowd of people holding signs saying, "We lost our jobs because of you," and "No job, no future." My God, they were protesters. I think they were from my dad's office. Wait a minute. I spotted a familiar face. Evelyn? She was holding a big sign saying, "My dad lost his job because of you." Eventually, Dad came out and dispersed the crowd. Then he called an emergency family meeting. "How could you do that to me?" The correct question would be, how could you do that to Dad? Thanks to you, dozens of people have lost their jobs. You're making people's lives miserable.
Enough, both of you. Evelyn, what you did was wrong. Families are supposed to support each other.
But Dad,
Didn't you just hear what I said?
Evelyn gave me a dirty look. Then she ran off to her room. I looked at Mum, who was leaning against the wall with her arms folded. Did she agree with what Evelyn did? Or was she on my side? My God, please say something. But to my surprise, after that, my mother started talking to me again, and she was actually being nice. She even started cleaning my room and workspace. Whoa, this was new. Had she finally accepted me? Then one day, I received tons of emails complaining about my Wi-Fi. It took me all day, but I finally found the cause of the problem. My laptop. Somebody had tampered with it. It didn't take a genius to figure out who it was. Evelyn, duh. But I needed proof, so I set up a trap. The next evening, when everybody was having dinner, I ran downstairs, quickly grabbed a piece of bread and said, "I need to go run some errands. Oh, and can you please stay out of the garage, as I'm uploading some important files?" Mum and Dad nodded and smiled at me. Evelyn, on the other hand, just rolled her eyes and continued eating. Well, at least I knew my plan was in motion. I walked outside and hid behind the bushes. So, what's my plan, you ask? Well, I set up my laptop so that when anyone opened it, it would automatically send a notification to my phone and turn on the camera so I could see who it was. I waited for an hour, but still nothing. Then suddenly, my phone beeped. Somebody was opening my laptop. They hadn't switched the light on yet, so it was too dark to see them, but I was 100% sure who it was. Time to expose. What are you doing sneaking out here? Evelyn? What was she doing out here? Wait, if Evelyn was here, then who was it in the garage? Not answering Evelyn's question, I ran like crazy into the garage to capture this intruder. And as soon as I turned on the lights, I couldn't believe who was messing with my laptop. It was Mom! What on earth was going on? I called a family meeting and told everyone what Mum did. Dad and Evelyn looked shocked and asked Mum why she did it. "I just couldn't stand seeing your dad suffer anymore. He put his life into that company, and now he's just a laughing stock. Do you realize our neighbors and relatives have been gossiping about him? They think it's so pitiful that he lost out to his own daughter. So I did what any self-respecting wife would do." Was she serious? Why didn't she just talk to me? All I ever wanted was for her to talk to me. Nothing else. But no, she decided to go behind my back and try to sabotage my business instead. After her betrayal, I'd had enough. So I didn't speak to her and avoided her as much as possible. It was one thing for Mum to be cold towards me, but I never thought she was capable of doing this. This went on for weeks, and it got kinda tedious. Trust me, it's no fun trying to avoid someone in your own home. But then one day, I arrived back from school and saw Dad sitting in a corner in the living room, repairing his PC. Geez, he looked so miserable. That's when the truth hit me. This was his passion, and I took it away from him. Suddenly, I understood why Mom did what she did. She saw how disheartened he was, but knew he'd never say anything to me, because he's always supportive. But how can I fix everything? Should I give everything up so that my dad can reopen his company again? Ugh, why was this so hard to figure out? Wait a minute. I think I have the solution. You must be wondering what my dad was doing here. Well, I came up with the idea that we should work together. My dad's a pro with technology, so it didn't take long to show him how things work around here. Oh, and since my business has grown, we were able to employ some of his former work employees too. With Dad around to help, I have time to focus on my studies. Even Evelyn started helping out, and she was so good at it, I made her dad's assistant. Talk about a proper family business. Ha! As for Mom, we had a really long talk. I finally told her how awful her attitude towards me made me feel, and she apologized for everything she had done. I eventually forgave her. I knew she did that just because she loves Dad very much. So, after all that drama, we're now just one big happy family.
This was my first ever day at high school, and naturally, I'm owning it. I mean, who wouldn't want to befriend someone as beautiful and friendly as me? By lunchtime, I already had loads of new friends, and everyone flocked around me to hear stories about my amazing life. I soon became super popular at school. I was the gorgeous, enchanting blonde beauty. Do you know what the best part was? Boys started noticing me too. Even the captain of the basketball team, Mitch, took a liking to me. It makes sense. I mean, obviously, the best-looking boy in the school is going to be interested in the best-looking girl. And guess what? He's following me on my way home right now. Stalking me much, huh? Just wait for it. It seemed like my new life here in this school was going to be awesome.
Well, Mandy. That was not an easy question, but you answered it perfectly. Great work.
See? I'm not just a pretty face. I'm also one of the smartest students in the school. My admirers grew and grew. It seemed like everyone wanted to spend time with someone as perfect as me. Here, I was telling my new friends about how at first, people sometimes misjudge me, as I come from a well-educated and extremely successful family. My parents are super wealthy individuals who encourage me to always be the best version of myself and strive hard to never let them down. Hey, Mandy, pardon me, but how come you never wear designer clothes or use anything expensive? She looked down at my tatty-looking sneakers. I see why it might seem a little peculiar, but you see, I dress this way because my parents value the importance of being humble. That's also how I live. Goodness is better than beauty, right? Then I pulled out my phone and showed them the grades from my last school. Everyone gasped at me for being so excellent. I was loved, admired, adored. But of course, being this amazing meant that there's just gotta be quite a few kids being jealous of me. I mean, I suppose I couldn't blame them. After all, I dazzled like a diamond, while they were just dull and ordinary. One time after an exam, as soon as the teacher left, this girl called Layla stood up and said, "Mandy cheated. I saw it with my own eyes." I saw it too. She checked her phone during the exam. Everyone was gasping in shock. Right at that moment, the class president, Marshall, shouted, Hey, quit it! We all know Mandy's a great student. There's no way she cheated." Huh, that's what I'm talking about. Layla and Susan must be bursting with envy that their petty plan to ruin me didn't work. And the class president, he came out of nowhere to protect me. He must be another one of my many admirers. But, sorry, Marshall, I'm way out of your league. A girl like me needed a handsome, rich, mature kind of guy. These boys at school are cute, but they're just boys. They're beneath me. One time I was in a rush and didn't have time to search my locker, so I accidentally took the wrong textbook with me to class. Seeing my mistake, Layla and Susan immediately jumped in. Uh-oh, what's this? We thought Miss Perfection here never messed anything up. I didn't even have a chance to say anything.
as this Beth girl spoke up.
Hey, cut it out! Who doesn't make mistakes once in a while, huh? Here, you can share mine.
Oh, wow. This girl was kinda nice. It was good to have an ally to deal with Layla and Susan. So, at lunchtime, I joined Beth's table. We started chatting, and she was clearly fascinated by how amazing my life was. Great! Now I had a faithful sidekick.
Hey, Beth, help me do the homework for today, okay? Again? I have to attend a very important party with my parents tonight. There will be politicians and plutocrats.
I won't have time to do homework. Now I have to go home early to get dressed and do my makeup. Bye! I didn't need to turn around to see her funny, bewildered face. She looked like that every time I asked her to do my homework. But it was worth it. Right, Beth? She got to hang out with the hottest prodigy in school. Me! So a little bit of extra homework was a small price to pay for such a privilege. You know, to me, that homework was nothing. I just didn't have time for it. I had to admit that having Beth around was very convenient. She made sure my grades stayed top of the class, leaving me time to play polo, go to the golf club, and attend charity functions with my parents. She also let me borrow her dresses, bags, makeup, and this super cute pair of high heels. My friends admired me, strangers idolized me, my teachers adored me, and I had a wonderful, loyal best friend. Life was perfect. Until one day, as I was shimmying along the hallway, I noticed something odd. People weren't giving me their usual looks of adoration. Instead, they were turning their noses up at me. Huh? What was happening? Hey, Beth, do you know what's going on? People are acting really weird. She just shrugged.
I don't know. Let's see.
I tried to tell myself that it was no big deal, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Then later that day, my worst fears were confirmed. As I entered the classroom, Marshall came over to me and waved his phone in my face. Good game, Miss Perfect. Turns out you're just a big fat liar. I looked at his phone and saw a long post with a lot of photos attached. There's a big title saying, "The Truth About Mandy the Liar," and each photo came with a caption. Mandy's house is actually very ordinary. She lives with her grandparents. There are no luxurious mansions or wealthy parents. When Mandy just came to the school, she made friends with everyone, bragging about her fame, fortune, and popularity. I don't know who she is. So what if we just shared the same path to the bus stop? Who said that I intend to get acquainted with her? Her transcript from her old school isn't even hers. She's just photoshopped her name on it. Every time she stood up to answer a question or take a test, she cheated, so she got a good grade. God, all this? How did they know? It felt like my heart had lodged in my throat, and my mind was spinning. My eyes blurred when I saw Layla and Susan approaching me. I stared at them in shock. Mandy, honestly, we don't hate you. It's just that we realized your stories were ridiculous, so we decided to find out the truth. That's right, but you sure did cover your tracks. We couldn't find a thing. Hang on, so who found these pieces of evidence? I did! Right at that moment, my so-called best friend appeared, followed by the homeroom teacher. Mandy, I know you think I'm some desperate wannabe you can control, but no! I soon worked out that everything you said was a lie, so I gathered evidence to prove it. Everyone was gawping at me with disappointment. I felt completely overwhelmed by the situation. This couldn't actually be happening. I pinched my arm. Ouch! It was as painful and as real as what was going down before my eyes right now. Beth continued. It's not good for you to live a lie like this. Who even are you? Ah! Reality images started flooding into my mind, making my brain feel like it was going to explode. I grabbed my head and ran out of the classroom. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in the hospital. The homeroom teacher was sitting next to me, and my grandparents were also there. They all looked very disappointed. Mandy, the principal was very angry and was about to expel you. But it was Beth and her friends who convinced him to let you stay.
What? Beth? But she was the one who exposed me. Noticing my surprise, the teacher continued.
After seeing your reaction, Beth realized that perhaps you had a psychological problem, so she convinced us to help bring you to the hospital for diagnosis.
I looked up at my grandparents. They were all in tears. Unexpectedly, I burst out crying. I longed so much to have a dream life full of fame, riches, and admirers that I drew a vision for myself in another reality. I was so absorbed in that illusory scenario that I forgot my own reality. This was last month, and I'm currently on medication for my delusions, and I'm also seeing a therapist. Right now, I'm on my way to see Beth, Layla, Susan, and Marshall. No, I'm not making it up. I really am meeting them. Oh gosh, there they are. This is scary, but it's something I've got to do. So I took a deep breath, then taking my therapist's advice, I spoke from the heart. Hi guys, thanks for coming. Firstly, I want to apologize for lying. The truth is, I've lived the lie so much that I could no longer distinguish what was real and what wasn't. My therapist helped me see that this all began after I lost my parents. Part of my subconscious craved for this dream life so badly that I created a new one. This way I didn't have to accept the truth, which is that my parents have passed away and I live with my dirt poor grandparents. When I finished talking, I looked at them, half expecting them to shout at me or something, but instead, Beth smiled at me and said, "It took a lot of guts to come here and say that." I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have outed you like that. But I didn't know you were ill.
Same. I'm proud of you.
Me too.
Me 3. Now, when are we gonna order cake?
So, what now? Well, I'm still taking my medication and talking to my therapist. I can now tell the difference between the make-believe and reality. Also, I'm back at school, and my teachers and classmates have all been really welcoming. Better still, I now have some awesome friends who like me for me. And you know what? It turns out that living in reality isn't actually so bad after all.
No! Now take your stinking money and get off my ship! It really wasn't our day. He was the 5th guy to reject us already. No one seemed to want to go to that island. Oh, hi there. Julia here. It's been 2 years since my dad strangely vanished into thin air while on a business trip. He just disappeared. But even when the authorities confirmed he'd passed away, I couldn't shake off the feeling that he was still alive somewhere out there. So I've still been looking for him ever since. In fact, just a few days ago, I found a clue. You see, I'm studying at the Archaeological Institute, where I happened to find an ancient map of some treasure hidden on a deserted island. Sounds wild, right? Well, it gets crazier. Right at the exact spot where the treasure was marked on the map was a symbol of a swallow, my dad's signature swallow, and his initials RC were written there too. Could it be? There was no time to waste. So that's how I ended up here in a fishing village close to that island with my best friend Lily. She's tagged along because she was so worried about me going alone, which was sweet of her. You see, there was a rumor among the locals that the island was cursed. Apparently, anyone who dared to venture there disappeared without a trace. That's why it's named the Lost Isle. But there was one ship that had returned from there intact, Captain Black Bills. On returning, he told the locals that surrounding the Lost Isle were reefs with super fast currents. So most ships ended up shipwrecked. The souls of those who died there were trapped years after years and became wicked spirits guarding the island from strangers. But fortunately for Black Bill, he happened to have a charm of the goddess Amphitrite to protect him from all the storms at sea. And it actually worked. Anyway, Lily and I decided he was the man for the job, so we went to the local pub to find him. "Give me another rum and coke, will ya?" he said between hiccups. The man was already drunk. I then asked him if he could take us to the island, but the barman chimed in. "Oh, come on. Only fools dare to go near the Lost Isle." "But isn't it safe to go with Black Bill? I heard he's protected by a goddess or something."
That's right.
Black Bill suddenly raised his voice.
But the charm only works when you're out at sea. Stepping onto that island is another matter. Besides, the spirits guarding that island are terrifying. I'm not insane enough to go back there. So the answer is no!
I wasn't about to give up, though. How much do you want?
50,000 and I'll take yas.
He laughed. His words left us dumbfounded. Let's just go home. This was a waste of time. He's obviously trying to steal our money. 50 grand? Where on earth could we find that amount of money? But I'm so close to my dad now. I can feel it. I can't give up halfway. Suddenly, I had an idea. Actually, we wanted to go to the island to find an ancient treasure that's worth way more than $50,000. If you take us, we'll split the treasure. What do you say?
Ha! How do I know you're not bluffing?
He said. So I showed him the map. It took him a few minutes, but eventually he shook my hand and the deal was set. Then he said we needed to set off as soon as possible. Otherwise, other people would try and beat us to the treasure. So, early the next day, we boarded his ship, the Siren. And I'm not gonna lie, we were both pretty scared. The other sailors were quite rough, and only one of them stood out as he smiled brightly at us. He then came over and offered to help carry our luggage. He was just so sweet compared to the others.
What's so funny? I'm Skylar, by the way.
Oh, nothing. It's just, you don't really seem like you belong here.
Well, I don't have much choice. My dad's the captain.
They're related? But he seemed nothing like Black Bill. He could clearly see I was surprised as he said,
Everyone reacts like that. It's true. I don't look much like him, do I?
Ahem. I turned around, realizing Lily was just standing there waiting for us. She had a smirk on her face and wouldn't quit teasing me as Skylar led us to our room. Since when did you change your type to Sailor Boys? I just shook my head, laughing. I mean, he was cute, but that wasn't the point of the trip. We settled in, but that night I couldn't sleep at all. I decided to go up on deck for some stargazing. It was eerily quiet out there, but I suddenly heard a sound coming from the other side of the ship. I quickly went to see and found Skylar leaning on the rail. He's probably having trouble falling asleep too. So we ended up chatting all night, and I told him why I had to get to the Lost Isle. He looked me in the eyes and said,
I'm sure you'll find your dad. I know you can do it.
He seemed so sincere and warm. It actually made my heart skip a beat. By noon the next day, we had reached the island, and it was just as terrifying as Black Bill had said it would be. Rows and rows of jagged rocks rising out of the sea, with the waves crashing so high, I thought we'd be shipwrecked in a second. The ship was shaking so violently, I really didn't think we'd make it. But we did. After almost colliding with the rocks a few times, we eventually made it through, and I've never been happier to see land before. However, there were still many challenges ahead. The first night on the island, I was curled up in my tent when a sound of footsteps coming from outside woke me up. I quickly unzipped it to see who was there, and that's when I saw a dark figure rushing off into the bushes. I was so scared, I screamed and woke everyone up. After checking, we realized all our bags and food that we'd left outside had been stolen.
Perhaps the ghosts of this cursed island are trying to scare us away.
I felt Lily shiver beside me, while I tried my best to look unfazed. But Skylar suddenly spoke up.
What would ghosts do with food anyway? It was obviously some man. Monkeys? Yes, it was obviously monkeys. Right, son? In fact, they'll probably come back. So we best keep our eyes peeled.
For the rest of the night, we took turns guarding the tents. Then once the sun came up, we packed up our camp and continued on our journey across the jungle. Julia, are there really ghosts on this island? Ghosts aren't real, Lily. I started, but then I found myself screaming. My right leg dropped and suddenly I was falling into a hole. Luckily, Skylar was nearby and grabbed my arm just in time. I quickly looked down and saw there were dozens of sharpened wooden stakes at the bottom of the hole. What in the world? That wasn't the only trap, though. As we crossed the island, we all got stuck in a snare at some point. From net to rope leg traps, this cursed island has all the tricks up its sleeve. Luckily, no one got seriously injured, but it was still totally freaky. That night, I headed towards Skylar's tent to thank him for saving me, and as soon as he saw me, he pulled me into a hidden corner and said,
"There's something I need to tell you. I'm not Black Bill's real son." "Skylar!"
Black Bill suddenly shouted from a distance.
"Come here! Right now!" "I'll talk to you later. Hide that compass, and don't tell anyone."
Before I could even begin to understand what was going on, he'd left. Another shock hit me as I saw the swallow symbol alongside my dad's initials engraved onto the lid. Huh? How did he get this? Did Skylar know my dad? A billion questions flooded my mind, but by then, Skylar had already gone guarding the campsite with his dad. The next morning, after basically no sleep, I decided I had to find Skylar and get some answers. As I was looking around for him, a group of strangers landed from the trees. They were like some sort of jungle people, with bushy hair and beards and wore raggedy clothing. They surrounded our camp and started threatening us. I was so scared, I couldn't move a muscle.
"Julia! Lily! Run!"
Skylar screamed, and I managed to snap out of it. I grabbed my bag in Lily's hand and ran after him and Black Bill. We eventually found a cave and took shelter there. It was hidden deep in the trees, and we prayed they wouldn't find us. We then only came out when we were sure they were gone. I asked if we should go find the rest of the crew, but Black Bill ignored my question and only had his mind on the treasure. Ugh! He was willing to leave his crew behind. What a cold-blooded man! And yet, I had no other choice but to continue the search. I couldn't risk being caught by those barbarians. I needed to find my dad. So I reluctantly pulled the map out and we followed the directions. It led us to a stone temple in the middle of the island. One by one, we entered and went deep inside. Suddenly, Black Bill screamed. An arrow flew past him, just missing his cheek. Terrified, he turned pale, clutching his chest.
"Your treasure better be worth all of this, or else."
We continued on and saw a door. That's it! The treasure is behind this! Black Bill ran forward, throwing himself against the door. His patience was definitely wearing thin. While he worked on getting the door open, I looked around for more clues about my dad. Suddenly, I turned around to see Black Bill falling on his knees. He'd managed to open the door, but inside was just a room full of dusty, chipped, cobweb-covered vases.
"You tricked me! I risked my life to come to this hole of an island for nothing!"
Black Bill then swooped over to grab me. I struggled to get away from him. He was squeezing my neck so tight, I couldn't breathe. I looked to Skylar pleading for help, and he tried to calm Black Bill down.
"Oh, shut up! And you! Bring all your stuff over here, or this friend of yours will be in big trouble."
Trembling, Lily did as he said, begging him to spare me, but he only gave her a threatening look while tightening his arms around my neck. He signaled for Skylar to come get his things.
"No! Let her go!" "Oh, little Sky, did you forget about your mummy and daddy? You don't want them to get hurt, do you? I've done enough for you."
What were the two of them talking about? What was going on? My head was spinning, and with the suffocation, I gradually lost consciousness. and passed out. When I woke up, I found myself on the Siren, surrounded by Lily, Skylar, and... Dad? Am I dreaming? Is it really you? My eyes blurred with tears. I rushed over and hugged my dad. Then I found out what had happened. As soon as I fainted, the horde of barbarians rushed in, captured Black Bill, and freed us all. Turned out, these people were all sailors, archaeologists, and explorers who had come to the island to look for treasure. When going through the reef, they were attacked by a group of pirates who robbed them of all their possessions and belongings. Then they were mercilessly dumped empty-handed on the island. That crew of pirates was none other than Black Bill's crew. All those legend tales about the island, including the amphitrite charm, were made up by Black Bill himself, thinking he could cover up his crimes by preventing people from approaching the island. Wow, that man was a real monster. I knew something was fishy about him. But luckily, taking the chance of the pirates setting sail to the island, the group of victims conspired to capture them and free themselves from the deserted island. As for Skylar, poor Skylar, he had been through so much. He was actually one of the victims. 2 years ago, he and his parents were also dumped on the island. Worrying that their young boy wouldn't survive, his parents begged Black Bill to let him be a part of the crew. Seeing that Skylar was strong and healthy, Black Bill agreed, on one condition that if he ever betrayed him, his parents would be executed. Thanks to Skylar, the victims were able to survive to this day. Every time the boat came near the island, he would sneak food and necessities into a barrel and let it float to shore. Smart move. Oh, and that's not all. When Skylar was on the island, he had met my dad, and they even had a talk before Skylar was about to get on board to join the crew.
Please, promise me, if you manage to escape, try to find my daughter, and give her this as a sign that I'm still alive and well live.
I promise.
I couldn't believe it. It was all thanks to Skylar that I'd found my dad. He smiled at both me and my dad and said,
"See? I never break a promise."
Anyway, when the ship docked, the pirates were immediately arrested. As for the victims, they were finally reunited with their families. Now, a year has passed, and honestly, all this was still so surreal to me. My dad and I spent a large chunk of the past year setting up an organization to help the people who'd been stranded on the island reintegrate into society. Lily has actually been writing a book about our adventure. And as for me and Skylar, well, we're officially dating. Guess it wasn't such a cursed island after all, right? Wow! Magnificent! So, I'm going to live here from now on? Unbelievable! Everything has happened so quickly that I was struggling to believe it was real. Yesterday afternoon, when I was helping out in my family's diner, suddenly a film crew rushed in and claimed that they were from the reality TV program Long Lost Love, which reunites lost family members. While I stood there confused, they announced to me that I was the lost child of the famous director Gabriel Perez. What? Did that mean my parents adopted me? Through tears, my parents told me that 13 years ago, in a bustling, crowded fair, they saw me wandering around aimlessly, so they brought me home. And even though they reported it to the cops, there were no leads, so they decided to adopt me. And so begins my life as a young lady of a rich family. As you'd expect with the home of a famous director, my father's mansion was impeccable. From the designer furniture to the stylish decor, the whole house was like a French-style castle. I peered at the huge photo of my grand-looking parents. Suddenly, there was a whisper.
"The master must be very happy, you know. His second wife couldn't give him a child after all these years. Yes. Now that he's older, he had to search for his biological child to lean on."
Oh, So this woman, the woman who came with Dad to the reunion yesterday, wasn't my biological mother? In that case, I wonder who's my real mom.
Miss, come in, please.
Inside were my parents and some specialists who then immediately pulled me in for a complete makeover. Whoa, I looked really gorgeous. My hair was so glossy, and this makeup made me look so glamorous. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would end up living here and feeling like a princess. Beaming with happiness, I turned to look at my dad. But suddenly, I was startled to meet eyes with the maid. She looked so gloomy. Why did she keep staring at me with a poker face? That was odd.
Carol, let's move along.
Strange. But never mind. Maybe she's always like that when she's seeing strangers. OMG. Dinner was so luxurious, including caviar and steak. This was so exciting. That night, I couldn't sleep and just rolled around in bed until dawn. But little did I know what an exhausting day was waiting for me ahead. 5 a.m. sharp, I was shaken awake. Huh? Was there a fire or something? A maid informed me that I had a very important press conference this morning, and it was imperative I looked the part. I groggily got out of bed and plonked myself in the chair. I had to wear this posh dress and have this old-fashioned bouncy hairstyle. Ugh, this made me look about 25. OMG! I swear this press conference was the most boring thing ever. For several hours, their conversations couldn't stray away from showing off their wealth, comparing their popularity, and all the showbiz stuff. I yawned dozens of times, but had to hide it behind my hand. I could feel my stepmother scrutinizing me. Ugh! I wanted to go home. You see, the type of person I hate the most are those kinds of showy, scornful ladies. But unfortunately, they're the only ones I've been interacting with. I missed hanging out with the kids my own age. But yeah, since I moved here, my parents insisted on homeschooling me, so I wouldn't be influenced by other inferior children. Ugh! Worse still, the only thing they teach me is about acting and movie stuff. How is that going to help me get into college? But that's not all. After studying, despite being tired, my stepmother forced me to spend a further 2 hours working out in the home gym. Every time I gasped for breath or snuck a snack, she would give me a novel-long lecture. The worst part is she banned anything sweet and made me stick to this strict diet full of celery and hummus. Gross! Then one time I slipped and fell off the exercise bike and twisted my ankle. My stepmother was so furious with me that she made me go to bed without my dinner. I couldn't take it anymore, so I hobbled into my father's room. Dad, why do I have to do these things? I don't like it. Dad said nothing, but just quietly signaled for me to follow him. He led me to a locked room at the end of the hallway. When the door opened, I saw a portrait of a very beautiful woman hanging in the middle of the room. Hang on a minute. My new hair and clothes were identical to hers. Dad stared at the portrait with dreamy eyes. Then he said that this woman used to be a very famous actress. He told me how they fell in love. Then she gave birth to me. So that means this is my mother?
That's right. Your mother is very beautiful, isn't she? And I'll make you perfect, just like her.
Then Dad waved me out of there, locked the door, and went away, leaving me standing alone shaking. There was something about his words that unsettled me. Curious about Mum, I went to an old maid to ask for more information. It turned out that in the past, my dad was my mum's manager, and thanks to her popularity, he made a lot of money. Mom was the muse for Dad's movies and also the love of his life. But unfortunately, because of a serious illness, she passed away. That was a huge trauma for Dad, and he seemed to lose himself. Ever since then, his head's been in the clouds, and he doesn't always make a lot of sense. Is that true? No wonder sometimes I found Dad's words creepy.
It's time for your yoga lesson. And why exactly are you talking to her? Now that you're rich, show some dignity. Don't liaise with the staff.
You're not my mom. You can't control me.
How dare you? I'm only showing you kindness because your father asked me to. A silly little girl like you means nothing to me.
You're so mean. It's no surprise why. You know, my mother is 100 times prettier than you. That's why Dad wants to make me like her.
You! Sooner or later, you'll end up like my poor daughter. Just enjoy the calm before the storm.
Huh? What did she say? What daughter? Didn't people say she had no children? Then, a few days later, as I was walking down the hallway, feeling exhausted because my current diet plan only included 2 apples a day, I heard the maids whispering to each other. Look, she won't be able to hold out. It won't last long. Her looks are fading. It's not long now. Then she'll end up like the previous one. What previous one? I went over to ask, but on seeing me, they immediately made up some excuses to flee the scene. Suddenly, someone leaned into my ear and said, "Try not to lose your looks, or else." Huh? I turned and saw that it was that strange maid, Carol. As I watched her walk off, I wondered what she meant by that. Obviously, she doesn't like me, but why? Honestly, there are so many confusing things about this family. Everything is so far from normal, it may as well be on its own planet. They're hiding something from me. I just need to figure out what. One day, while Dad and Patricia went away for an event, I snuck into their bedroom and looked around for the key to the secret room. Result! It was hidden in an old jewelry box. And whoa! This place was full of photos and DVDs and stuff. I found an album labeled Happy Family, and there were so many photos of Dad and Patricia with a pretty little baby girl. There was one photo of that baby girl turned 10. Written on the back of it was 12/15/2014. Happy birthday, our pretty sweetheart. Stay beautiful, Carol. Carol? The birth year. Green eyes. Could it be? That's it. The baby girl was Carol, the maid. Maybe puberty hitting changed her appearance and she's not as pretty anymore. But I could still tell some of her old features. So Carol was the previous young lady and also the poor daughter that Patricia mentioned. That made sense, as I'd seen Patricia interacting more with her than the other maids. I once even noticed her helping Carol clean up the dishes. I was still overwhelmed with the secret I just found out when I looked through the window and saw Dad's car pull up in the driveway. Panicked, I took that photo and ran out of there. I had to leave this place, or else I'd turn into another Carol. I kept on running, but then I bumped straight into Patricia. Oh no. Please let me go. I don't want to live like this any longer. Please. Patricia snatched the photo from my hand, then took my wrist and dragged me along. Let me go!
Get in the car. Where do you want to go?
To my adoptive parents' house. On our way, Patricia told me everything. She was once a famous actress who met, then fell for Gabriel. At first, she didn't mind attaining his high beauty standards, but then she realized that how he made her act and dress was all based on his late wife. She thought that having a child would change him, so they adopted Carol. She was very beautiful when she was little, so they spoiled her and took her everywhere to brag. But when she grew older, her looks began to fade, so Gabriel made her their maid. My dad needed a pretty girl to be her replacement, to be his own muse, so he decided to find another one. Truth was, he had no long-lost daughter. Instead, he got a private detective to look up unsolved missing child cases and discovered me. Oh my God! Unbelievable! Now Patricia, too, was exhausted from living this life, with a man who was still besotted with his dead wife. She felt bad for Carol, and for me, too. So, okay, turns out Patricia wasn't as bad as I thought. On the contrary, she was kinda pitiful.
We are so sorry for letting you move into that house. I knew there was something not quite right about the situation, but I wanted you to be happy without money worries.
So, we let you go. We should have realized.
We're so sorry. I'm sorry for not being able to stop Gabriel. He went too far.
I was sobbing in my mum's arms when I saw Gabriel. He stormed in and dragged me along.
This one's mine, so she's coming with me. You can't just buy her. She's my daughter.
Right at that moment, my sister Hannah arrived back from school. Gabriel's eyes lit up when he saw her. Then he immediately rushed over and grabbed her arm.
Ha ha ha! Then I'll take this one. Not so pretty, but I can make it work.
We all charged towards him and freed Hannah from his grasp. Gabriel seemed frantic and refused to leave. My parents had to literally bundle him out of the house, then call the cops. So, what now? Well, at first, I was pretty mad with my parents for letting me go so easily, but I guess they just wanted me to have no money struggles or anything. So, I've forgiven them, and now we all live a humble but happy life running the diner. Carol and her mom visit sometimes. They moved out of Gabriel's mansion, and they seem much happier now. As for Gabriel, as far as I know, he's still searching for the perfect beauty to replace his dead wife. There's a part of me that kind of feels sorry for him, but luckily, he can't come anywhere near me or my family, as we have a restraining order against him. Looking back on it all, I now realize that I already had everything I needed. Okay, so we might not be rich, but we have kindness, love, and happiness. And trust me, those things are way more important than bags full of money. Hi guys, it's me, Claire. So tomorrow is gonna be super exciting. I'm putting my life in your hands, literally, as I'm gonna be doing a My Instagram Followers Control My Day video. Yay! Most influencers do this with options, but I trust you guys, so go wild. Just visit my Instagram, like this video, and comment on whatever you want me to do tomorrow. The comments with the most likes will be chosen. And don't forget to follow me to stay updated. As you can see, I'm Claire, and I'm a beauty influencer on Instagram. Of course, with this pretty face and eye for style, I already have loads of followers. But for someone who was born to be famous like me, that's not enough. That's why I'm doing this viral challenge. It'll get me tens of thousands of likes. Okay, that's it for today. Now I better get my beauty sleep. Gotta have glowing skin tomorrow. The first thing to do in the morning was to check my Instagram. 20,000 likes from my post last night. That's average. Let's see. I asked my followers to decide what I should wear and what I should eat for breakfast. And the most liked comments were about Y2K style and avocado toast. My favorite dish anyway. Easy peasy. I called the maid to prepare breakfast while I did my skincare routine. Then I made sure I took a cute selfie and uploaded it to my story. What a good start. Am I the cutest girl on earth or what? Okay, now I have to make a very difficult decision. Which bag best complements my outfit? This one or this one? I was still trying to decide when my phone rang. Ugh, that's Liam, my boyfriend. It's so early, yet he's already sent me a ton of messages.
What are you doing? Why didn't you reply to any of my texts? Hurry up if you don't want to be late for school.
All right, I'm coming. Jeez, why does he have to be so stressy? It doesn't matter if we're a little late. I mean, come on, it's only school. After choosing the right bag, I got into Liam's car. He frowned at me and asked me what took so long. I was busy taking selfies, I replied, and posted a mirror selfie I took earlier on my Instagram with the caption, Y2K style for today. What should I do at school this morning? At break time, I was sitting in the cafeteria with Liam and my bestie, Tori. As usual, my beauty was attracting attention. All eyes were on me, and one guy even gushed out,
"You're so pretty, Claire."
I checked my Instagram to see how my newly posted pic was doing. Oh, it already had 50,000 likes. That's good, but I know with my charisma, I can do even better. But, huh? What's this? The most liked comment on the post wants me to go to the school library and scream, "I hate studying, and the library is the most boring place on earth." What kind of request is this?
Don't do it. I don't have a good feeling about this. It could be from someone who's trying to sabotage you.
Liam has a point. This could just be a trick that Isabella, my rival at school, devised to embarrass me. She's also an influencer on Instagram, but she just copies everything I do. Her Instagram is 5,000 followers less than mine. Yawn. But Claire, how are you going to explain to your followers if you bail out? I don't think they'd be happy about it. Right. I'm doing a challenge, aren't I? Can't stop after only 2 comments, especially because one from anti-fan. Besides, this is no big deal, right? Who even goes to the library anymore? So, I dragged Liam and Tori to the library. As you know, I need them to film me. Huh? Why was it so ridiculously busy in here? Since when did people actually want to study? I needed to get this over with, so breaking through the silence, I shouted, "I hate studying, and the library is the most boring place on earth." All eyes instantly fell on me, and I heard tuts and grunts. Then someone said,
What the hell are you doing?
"Ugh, why is everyone in here so serious?" I just shrugged and walked away. At least Liam and Tori had captured me at my best angle. To my surprise, that video gained me a load of views and likes, and I even earned nearly 1,000 more followers. Who would have thought that such a silly act would get so popular? At that moment, Isabella walked past me. Only brainless people would scream in the library. Huh, look who's jealous now. Hey, you might as well try that. Maybe you'll get half of my followers. Isabella looks like she's about to explode with anger. But then she sneered and said, "Let's see if you're still laughing after you see what you've got to do next." Huh? What is she on about? I immediately opened my Insta to check. What? The top comment this time was from Isabella. She wants me to put a trash bag on my head and go to the mall. Ew, trash bag? I spent an hour styling my hair this morning. Isabella, you wicked witch. But, okay. If she wants to play, I'll prove to her that she's messing with the wrong person. Just like last time, Liam tried to talk me out of it.
This is nonsense, Claire. Don't lower yourself to this level just for a few likes.
I told him he was overreacting, and that I wasn't going to let my followers down by bottling out of it. This seemed to annoy him, and he stormed off. So who's going to take videos for me? I called out, but Liam just kept walking. Why can't he just support me like usual? Luckily, I still had Tori, and she agreed to film it for me. That's what best friends are for. Okay, this is more embarrassing than I thought. People keep staring at me like I'm an alien. I gave them a "what are you looking at" stare, prompting them to quickly turn away. No, I have to act confidently for the video to get more likes. Looking over, I saw Tori cheering me on, so I took a deep breath, stood up straight, and did my best catwalk strut through the mall. My heart was pounding like crazy, even after we walked out of the mall. Phew, it was finally over. I then quickly opened up my Insta, uploaded the video I just shot, then texted Liam asking where he was. After that, Tori and I got in a taxi to his house. Liam was already waiting for me at the door, looking all serious when I got there. So I told Tori to wait in the taxi. Then angrily I shouted as I walked over to him, "You could have at least come and supported me. Do you know how upset I was when you just left like that?"
I wasn't comfortable filming you make a fool of yourself. I care about you too much.
It's just a bit of harmless fun. Why can't you understand how important being an influencer is to me? I don't think I can be with someone who doesn't support me and my passion anymore. We should break up. Then I just walked away, not giving Liam a chance to explain. He quickly ran over and grabbed my hand.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can we talk it out?
It worked! I gestured to Tori, then turned around with a big smile at Liam. Can you believe the followers want me to test your love by pretending to break up with you? I'll show them how much you love me. But then, unexpectedly, Liam angrily shouted,
What? So, I'm just another tool to get likes for your Instagram? If you want to break up, then fine. We're done.
Then he stormed into his house and slammed the door. I stood there open-mouthed. How could he break up with me? In the whole 2 years we've been together, I've never seen him this mad. I'll let him chill for a bit and talk to him tomorrow. He'll have calmed down by then. Right? Look, Claire! Your shopping mall video has already reached 100,000 likes! Oh my god, what is this? People are going crazy for my videos. They say I'm so confident, wearing a trash bag and still looking stylish. I look like Kendall Jenner. And my followers also increased by 5,000 people. At least this is worth the effort I put in. The next morning, I waited for Liam to pick me up. But he never arrived. When I got to school, I tracked him down and asked if he was still mad at me.
You're so addicted to social media. I don't even know who you are anymore.
Then he walked off. At that exact moment, Isabella walked towards me. Wait, why is Tori with her?
Hey, loser, you're in so much trouble.
What does that mean? I looked at Tori in confusion, but she just lowered her head and quickly followed Isabella. Feeling something was wrong, I immediately opened Instagram and... oh my god. What are these comments? Such an attention seeker. She's willing to do anything just for some likes. I heard that her boyfriend broke up with her. No surprises there. What is this? I did all these things at their requests, and now I'm the one receiving all the hate? Suddenly, the principal announced via the loudspeaker that I had to go to his office. As I walked in, I saw my parents sitting there. Turns out news of what I did at the library had spread. But not only that, someone even accused me of stealing from the shopping mall. Huh? I didn't steal anything. To prove my innocence, I gave the principal my bag to check. And he pulled out a brand new necklace. Why is this thing in my bag? I tried explaining myself, but no one would listen. I was suspended for a week. The walkout of the principal's office was the worst thing ever. Everyone was giving me judging looks and whispering to each other. On the way home, I took a teary selfie, then posted it on Instagram with the caption, "Consequences of yesterday's challenge. 1 week suspension." Someone put the blame on me. Once home, my ashamed-looking parents immediately took my phone away and even disconnected the Wi-Fi. Ugh! My life was over. I ran up to my room in a huff and flopped down onto my bed. Suddenly, my eyes crossed a photo I took with Liam on my birthday last year. That's when Liam threw me a surprise party, and he even made me a cute birthday cake. Come to think of it, I was a bit too harsh with him yesterday. He was only trying to protect me. If I'd listened to him, I wouldn't have all these hate comments and be stuck home for a week. I hurt Liam just to gain more followers. How could I be so stupid? I wished I could apologize to him right now, but... Then to my surprise, after just 3 days, my mom told me I was allowed back to school. There were still mutters about me, but that didn't matter, as Liam was waiting for me at my locker. I hurried over to him, apologized, and explained everything.
Claire, I know you're the sweetest, most loving girl. You just got carried away with your frivolous Instagram popularity. Besides, I know you're not a thief.
Then Liam told me that out of suspicion, he asked to check different CCTV at the shopping mall and discovered that it was Tori who dropped the necklace box into my bag. Turns out, she was only hanging out with me because I was famous and rich. So when Isabella paid her, She turned 180 degrees, running after Isabella and playing tricks on me. Liam reported this to the principal, and now both of them have been suspended. That's it. Chasing after popularity on the internet didn't bring me any real friends, but only virtual fans, and a fake friend, sadly. I got blindsided by the likes and followers and overlooked what was truly important: my real-life relationships and the people who genuinely care for me. After that incident, I decided to deactivate my Instagram account for a while, at least until I feel stable again. And even if I lose all my followers, I don't really mind anymore. Because right now, I'm spending time with those who really matter to me.
Hey, it's Bella again. I'm here to tell you the next part of my story. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. So, being back home with my family made me realize that I needed to make some positive changes in my life. So, I emailed Ed and quit my job. And I decided to stay with my family for a few weeks before Jim got back from his business trip. Then, I was going to go back and confess my feelings for him. But then, I found out my dad was sick and he needed surgery. Ed found out and messaged me saying he'd pay for everything, providing I followed his demands. Whoa, his conditions were insane. Firstly, I had to stay at the company. And secondly, he wanted me to go with him to his parents' wedding anniversary party and pretend to be his girlfriend. Oh my God, this made me so angry. He was using me to cover up his relationship with Diane. His parents must have found out that he was still seeing Diane and threatened to dismiss him. So he fabricated some story to tell them that he was back with me instead. So now they wanted him to prove this by taking me to their party. This sucked. But there were bigger things than my pride to think of right now. My dad needed surgery. Every second counted. So I threw away my ego and replied to Ed, "Yeah, I'll do it." He hung up, and I realized something. Even though I wanted to end things with Ed, the universe had a funny way of stopping this from happening. And it seemed like it wouldn't let me be with Jim, the guy I truly wanted to be with. Talk about ironic. Ed transferred the money over to me. I told Mom that Starcross Estate had lent me the money. Ugh, I hated giving them the credit for this, but it was a feasible story. Besides, it was partly true. Waiting around while my dad was in surgery was the most nerve-wracking experience of my life. Luckily, it all went well, and now he just needed plenty of time to rest and recover. The last week had been such a blur of emotions and drama. All I wanted to do now was sleep. But no, I had to endure a whole day with Ed and his family. The morning of the party arrived, and Ed picked me up. I didn't say much to him on the journey there. Instead, I just stared out the window. As we pulled up the longest driveway I'd ever seen, he turned to me and said,
"Bella, I hope you're more cheerful around my family. We made a deal."
Jeez, what did I ever see in this man? He was the worst.
"Yeah, I understand. I will." I forced out a smile. He gave me a stern look and said,
Just make sure you do.
"Ugh! All this for Diane? She was pretty and all, but she wasn't even a nice person, and she had zero morals. Whatever. I just needed to endure this party, then I could stay away from Ed." Okay, so his parents' house was like a fairy tale castle. It was huge. Ed kept on introducing me to different relatives, and my jaw hurt from all my fake smiling. When his parents saw me, they came over and his mom said, "You must be Bella. I've heard so much about you. Please, make yourself at home." I greeted them back. "Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Stafford. You have a lovely home. And happy 30th wedding anniversary." Then his mom replied, "Oh, thanks, dear. Please, call me Judy. You two should try some of the buffet. The grilled oysters are spectacular." For 2 years, I'd longed to be included in Ed's life and to be invited along to family parties, but he always seemed to keep me far apart. Now, I wanted to be far apart from Ed, and he was making me stay close. Ugh, this sucked. When we were walking through the crowd and greeting his family's partners and relatives, Ed whispered to me,
Thanks a lot for being here. I really appreciate it.
I glared at him and said, "Well, you didn't leave me much choice, did you? And I know why I'm here. Don't forget that I heard everything between you and Ellie. You're just using me. I hope after that, we don't have to see each other anymore." He replied,
But you need the money, right? I think you should be grateful instead of being angry with me. I helped you save your father's life. I know how much he means to you. So can you please take my arm and let me introduce you to more of my relatives?
This was so frustrating, but he was right. I agreed to this so I could save my dad, and it's a choice I would make again and again. My family was everything to me, so now I'd just have to suck it up and let Ed introduce me to his. All this schmoozing people was thirsty work, so we walked over to the bar. OMG. You wouldn't believe who was there. Jim! I stared at him open-mouthed and immediately let go of Ed's arm. Jim looked even more shocked than I did. I wanted to go over to him, but Ed grabbed my hand and whispered to me,
Remember our deal.
So all I could do was to continue my role as Ed's girlfriend. Jim instantly left the party with a disappointed look. At the end of the party, Ed dragged me over to the balcony to talk. I asked him, why was Jim here? He's not supposed to be back for another 2 weeks.
Oh, our business partner closed the deal already, so we came back early. He insisted on it, as he has a date or something. I heard he even took an earlier flight than the group. Anyway, you did a great job today. Everybody was convinced that you're my girlfriend, and I think we should keep it that way.
Wait, what? What do you mean? I asked him. He replied,
Well, I want you to come back to me, to be my girlfriend, just for an extended period of time, and then we'll break up.
I said in anger, Are you insane? Why would I ever get back together with you? Hell no!
How about I give you more money? I believe that after surgery, your father will need lots of medication, and I know it costs a lot. Besides, it will just be for a bit. Then after it, we'll go our separate ways. So, do we have a deal?
This is insane, but he's not wrong. The medical bills seemed never-ending, so I needed to face facts that, while he was paying them, he basically owned me. Oh my God, this would hurt Jim so much. This was breaking my heart. Jim was the one person who'd been there to support me, and now he'd think I was betraying him. And for that jerk Ed? But I had no other choice. I couldn't stand by and watch my dad suffer, not when I had the chance to help him. So, with a heavy heart, I shook Ed's hand in agreement. The next day, I walked with Ed into work. This was the last place I wanted to be right now, and all eyes were on me. One girl came up to me and told me she thought I was brave for getting back with the man I loved. Ugh, please. While other people sneered at me. I knew they thought I was an idiot for taking him back. At this point, I didn't care about anything. I just wanted it to end soon so I could get out of there. I met John in the hallway, and I could see in his face how disappointed he was. He rushed off so he didn't have to talk to me. I mean, It's not like I could blame him. Then I walked into my department and saw that Jim was standing in the middle of the room chatting to some of my colleagues. When everybody saw me, they rushed over and greeted me, except for Jim. He went straight to his office. He only talked to me when a project was assigned to me, but he only talked to me about work. His voice was cold, and he barely looked at me. This was awful. I wanted to tell him everything, but I knew I couldn't tell him a thing. I was no longer the brave, passionate, honorable girl he used to know. Now, I was so pathetic, staying with a bad man just for his money. I never wanted him to know this, even if he would understand my situation or not. It really hurt. I hoped Jim would wait for me, and told myself it would all end okay. But then, a few days later, I walked into work, and a colleague came over to me and told me Jim had quit. What? I couldn't lose him like this. Not without a fight. He was the only positive thing for me right now. Everything was going in the wrong direction. I had to tell him it was all a misunderstanding, no matter what he thought. So I decided to go to Ed's office to end all of this. But then, an email popped up on my phone. It was from John. There were some pictures attached. I opened them. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe who was in those photos. I was so shocked that I dropped my phone on the floor.